This is Kent Mulgat, this is Kelowna Now, and we're joined by constables Chris Brennan and Reg Sahai, both dog handlers. So this is an interesting topic, and we really appreciate you coming in to talk about it. Let's start at the beginning. How is it that you wind up having this unusual relationship with an animal when you go to work as an RCMP member? How does it start for you? Reg.
Well, first things first, you have to be a member with the RCMP. And after you become a member, then if you're interested in the police dog service, you can start an apprenticeship. And it's actually called quarrying. And you quarry for approximately 6 to 8 years on your own time. And that's in addition to all your regular duties as a police officer. And if you are so fortunate to be selected to go to Police Dog Training Center, then you get matched up with a police dog there. And you go through about 6 months of training. And then you're out on the road.
Right. So, Chris, you were saying earlier that all police dogs have the same basic skills that are, and what are those?
So the dogs are trained in detection, so they'll follow human scent, which is our tracking profile. Anything that gets left behind from a crime scene that has human scent on it, say somebody has thrown a knife, some item, so they're trained to search for those items. Trained to search for just human scent that's out, say there's a missing child out in a field somewhere, it's been too long, can't track, or other environmental things people have walked through, so the tracking profile is out. Dogs are also trained to just detect human scent in the air, using the wind, they'll search back to the source, find that. So all our dogs are trained, like every dog out there is trained in those profiles, along with criminal apprehension, which is a very bad person fleeing from a crime scene from us.
Right.
They've been told to stop, given all kinds of warnings, and them getting away is a very bad thing in the public interest, so we'll deploy our dogs on them. Dog 4 legs a lot faster than 2.
Right.
Usually catch them fairly quickly. So all the dogs we have are all skilled, tested yearly in all those profiles. And the only kind of profiles that are individual to the dog that will be different is we'll either have dogs trained in narcotics detection, drugs, or we'll have dogs trained in explosive. They'll never do both.
Right. So you get matched up with this dog, you go through the training, but then they do become part of your family. You take them home, right? So what does that look like? Like, Reg, what's your dog's name?
My dog right now is Ice.
Ice. So is Ice like a pet? I mean, or is he more like an employee of the RCMP?
Well, in my experience, Ice is my second dog, and my first dog, Zod, he was a dog that I could have around my family. Dogs are just like people, different personalities, and I find that Zod was able to adjust to family life as well, with my kids around and whatnot. But as far as Ice goes, I don't think he'd be able to adjust. It's just his mind is just his personality is 100%
right.
go. So I think that he would have a tough time turning it off. That's not to say that other dogs won't turn it off. Just Ice in my instance doesn't.
So when you say turn it off, and we'll need to double back to this whole idea of the criminal apprehension part that I do want to get to. These dogs are trained to occasionally, and I take it doesn't happen very often when you have to actually use them to take down a suspect. But in our discussion earlier, you were saying this is something you take very seriously. It's just because you really want to arrest someone doesn't mean it's necessarily appropriate to actually release a dog, right? Tell me about the serious decision that you have to make as to when that would be appropriate.
It's lots of factors come into whether the dog gets deployed or not. The nature of the call, how serious is it? Is it a shoplifter? We can deploy our dog on a shoplifter? No. Somebody breaks into a house and assaults the person inside? Whole different thing. Now, danger to the person, will it happen again? So it's very important that we catch this individual and do what it takes. So this individual will get, if we track them and we find them and they want to run, they would get the warning stop. We're going to send our dog. They get all the opportunity in the world to give themselves up, but we cannot let them get away. So we will use our dog, who's a lot faster than we are, and basically there's risk deploying a dog on somebody, but it's an educated risk to us. We run all the scenario through our minds. It's safety of the dog, safety of us,
Right.
the officers, the safety of the public if this guy gets away. So sometimes we have milliseconds to run all
Right.
that through our head and decide if we're going to deploy our dog or not.
You have to sort of do like a bit of a math equation. You know you're going, if you do that, you will be asked a lot of questions, right? So you've got to make sure you've sort of dotted the I's and crossed the T's in your mind.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like every other thing. We have responsibility to the public and to ourselves and to all the other police officers that we work with what kind of intervention options or what kind of tools that we use as far as level of force goes, whether it be a sidearm, pepper spray, police dog, baton.
Right.
So through our training and our experience, we like to think that we've garnered that knowledge to be responsible with the dog, as well as all the other tools that we have that are available to us.
And it sounds like ultimately you don't need to release them very often. If you've got somebody fleeing and they see and hear that there's a dog in the mix, quite often just the mere possibility of being taken down by the dog is enough for them to give up, right?
I believe so, yes. And everybody that I've encountered with my dog, I always give the same warning that I always do. Say, please stop, you're under arrest. Stop or I'll send the dog and you will be bit. For the most part, 9 times out of 10, everybody gives up right away. And then at that point, there's no reason to release the dog or to have a contact at that point.
And so here you are, 2 working members, each with a dog. Over the course of a year, how many times roughly would you actually have to let the dog go and take down a suspect? How often?
No, without looking at this, we don't have the stats present in our hands. I think last year I deployed my dog on maybe 2 people.
Wow. So it is something that you do with great forethought.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
We can't control, so this bad guy is going to do this today. We can't control those stats. Like, 1 month we'll have 6 break-and enters, next month we'll have none. So it's all about kind of I hate the word opportunity, but the calls that we go to, it fluctuates quite dramatically. We'll have 1 month where we'll have 30 calls, and the previous month we'll have 10. So it can look really bad for a month. That might be the only month where we bite 2 people, and then we go the rest of the year with nothing. And we just track people and catch. So it's basically it's dependent on the person we're looking for. What happens?
What do you find most gratifying? I would imagine if your dog successfully gets a track that really puts forward an investigation, that must be a good feeling.
Well, it's one of those things where, like I said, the 2 of us, I can speak for ourselves, we've gone through the apprenticeship process, and did 4 to 6 years of apprenticing on our own. And just to see the work that we've done and all the work that we do training these dogs, and then actually seeing it come to fruition, that's the most satisfying spot.
Right.
Because these dogs aren't machines. After we graduate, their skills can depreciate if we don't do the upkeep that's necessary and all the training. So we train hard and we train a lot. And so when we see the success that we have with our dogs, that's very gratifying.
What's your favorite part about being a dog handler, Chris?
It's the work. It's all about the work. It's the tracking. It's probably opposite of members. They like the slower nights where they can kind of catch up to some of the stuff they need to do. I hate slow nights.
Right.
I love going with the dog. Just he loves working. He's built to work. You'll see the energy in him, and the same thing with Reg's dog, Ice. We do this because we love chasing the bad guy. We love putting people in jail, and our dogs love it just as much as we do. So the more we can get them out of the truck and the more we work, the more we love our job.
And I wanted to ask you guys what your sense is when people see you out with your dog. Are people proud to see their police working with dogs, or do they find it frightening? What's your sense of how the public responds to what you're doing?
Well, for the most part, we know that the public endorses us and they support us. It's great to see. Now, at the same time, it's tough to see people in the public like out and about, because they have to remember that these are working dogs. They can't just come up to start petting the dog or anything like that, because it's one of those things where every dog is different in situation. So we want to make sure that the public understands that they can't just come up and say, "Oh, can I pet your dog?" and reach in kind of thing, because we don't want that, right? But for the most part, we know that the public supports us and stuff. It's just, we don't hear it all the time, but we know that they're behind us.
They're pretty respectful when we're working.
Right.
When they see the dogs working. And there's always somebody running with us, and they'll usually, like, we'll have a member running with us.
Yes.
We watch our dog, they'll watch to see what's going on in front of us, and they're pretty good at telling the public that, you know, just got to stay away, he's working.
Yeah, you got to give him a little space, right?
And we had an event here, and it was pretty good at showing that we had a CPCA dog trial. Basically, police forces from across Canada came here, and we got an enormous amount of support. People showing up on the public day to watch. It surprised us actually how many people showed up. And so that's the support we see out there that you never hear about.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrific, and I appreciate you coming in here to talk about what you guys do.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yep.
All right, so
Thank you.
Chris Brennan and Reg Sahai from the RCMP Dog Handling Unit. This is Kelowna Now.